grant. And so that's why we're here, and that's why we're putting on this event today. So as you all know, we're here to talk about how we can address equity gaps that we see among our Black students, specifically who are taking online classes. And the purpose of the grant is to address those specific gaps. So we thought it was really, really key and important to start the work of doing this by starting with the student voice. So I know that's why you're all here, to hear from them. Before we get to them, though, I do want to recognize that we have some new positions in the grant. Our faculty success coaches. You probably saw that call go out for folks, and people heeded to the call. And we've got 12 amazing faculty members who are ready to help us with this work. So I want to recognize them. If you're here, just do the electronic hand raise so you'll pop up for people and people can see you. So our faculty success coaches are Cornelia Brandon from counseling, Corey Flournoy from Public Safety and Paralegal Services. We've got Whitney Scott from Dental Hygiene, Arnidra Jordan from Political Science, Ronnie Felder from Counseling, Kevin Coffey from Communications, Kyle Skinner coming to us from up north in Counseling, Darren Elrington in Business, Anthony Battle from the Law and Paralegal Studies, Rasan Jones from Sociology, and Eros Rice Jr. from Counseling. So you saw the folks raise their hand, and those are our coaches. And so you will be hearing from them. These are the folks that are going to be working directly with the divisions on campus to help us address the equity gaps that we see and take some of the suggestions that we're going to hear from the students tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Jennifer, to keep us going.
So what we'd like to do now is we're going to pin our student speakers, just so that we make sure that we focus on the most important participants in this call. And as wanted to give a minute to shout out those students that came and are donating so much of their time and their experience so that we can learn how to be, better instructors and support their learning better. So Caleb Smith, I don't know, Caleb, oh, there we go. Elijah Dunn Harris, Ezriana Sykes, Bobby Slater, Chris King, and Kenye Gregory. Welcome so much to our panel, and we're just so happy to have you here. We're going to go ahead and just get started with our first question. So
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Jennifer. Can you please give me the names again so I could spotlight them?
Oh, yeah.
All right, now I have Caleb and Elijah, and I know I'm missing a few.
Kenye Gregory and Bobby Slater and Ezriana Sykes and Chris King. Oh,
I'm working on it. Sorry. If folks don't have their videos on, I cannot spotlight.
Oh, I see Chris's video.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, Ezriana may not be able to turn her video on, so.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for Chris right now.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, thank you.
Yay.
Okay.
And so, and I should have said this, we're going to start with the hearing from the students. And we want you to focus on that. So we've disabled the chat. If you have any questions or things that pop in your head, take a note. And then we're going to take the last 30 minutes and open it up for a Q&A. So if anything pops up while you're hearing from the students, take a note of it and save it for the Q&A towards the end.
All right, so let's get started with with our first question. Just one second, I'm trying to move like the million screens we have here. So if you can tell us what's worked well for you in your online classes and what's helped you be successful.
Does anyone go first, or is it in order?
Anyone?
I'll go first. What has worked in, especially in summer, with taking business, Chicano, and English 5 with Dr. Catherine Broutry and Professor Felicia, is there was especially Dr. Catherine Broutry. I was surprised that a white teacher dedicated 80% of her lecture and content towards African American history, highlighting a lot of Dr. Martin Luther King speeches that I had never heard of, and also Toni Morrison, Black authors that I had never indulged in. So I feel like, as far as being a Black student at West LA with a white teacher highlighting and bringing so much of my own history into the forefront and teaching to other students who are not all Black, I felt appreciated, and I felt that I felt like, okay, the world is changing because now we have a teacher of a dominant class in America educating people on the actual truth, and to some extent reprogramming people that may have stereotypes of Black people. So I felt like that had a lot to do with my success because I felt appreciated in that environment. And I felt, again, like a white person was highlighting Black history and putting Black people in a positive light and instructing her other students of other races to learn about us. So that's my input.
Thank you so much for sharing that. The instructor's here too today, and she's one of our, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Hey.
Yeah, she's one of our faculty.
That was really sweet, Elijah. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Please, anyone else?
Can you repeat the question again, please? I'm sorry.
Of course. Tell us what's worked well for you in your online classes and what's helped you be successful.
I'll go next. Well, what's worked for me in my online class, I have one online class, and that's art appreciation. Just going to school every day, getting input from Professor Ortiz and my other professors. I've learned and I've excelled in that class pretty good. It's the best class I'm doing good in right now. I'm at 90% in that class, so I guess that's an A. Just my teachers, going to school, doing my work, it's really helped me to stay diligent in the same path with art appreciation. That's pretty much all I have to say right now.
Thank you, Robbie. Rihanna, were you gonna jump in?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to say that what's helped me in my online classes is being able to actually like do the work at my own pace. I made a comment in the beginning. I'm like currently right now I'm doing homework and I'm at my son's baseball practice. So the flexibility has really helped.
So just to kind of recap, I hear kind of like representation, validation, right? Of the curriculum, like there's diversity and recognition in the curriculum. I hear feedback, right? And like that diligence, like inspiring that diligence. And then also like the accessibility, the flexibility of online learning. So, those are all things that I'm hearing. All right, so let's go ahead and move to the second question. Have you ever felt encouraged to succeed in your online classes? If so, how did your instructors make you feel that way? If not, would this encouragement have made a difference for you?
So in business, there is a teacher, Demeanor or Domineer. I can't pronounce his name, but he sends a lot of motivational quotes and videos. But one instant in particular, the first assignment was, would you take $100,000 salary and work abroad or anywhere, or would you take a $250,000 salary and work in downtown LA from 8 to 6. So all that to say, what that does for me personally is that programs me to say, oh, wait, I'm in college. I have the chance of getting a degree. He's already programming me to think higher of a higher $250,000 salary. Or, earning 6 figures and traveling abroad. So I wasn't thinking like that at first, but now with a teacher investing in his students, I would say mental and mentality, it programs me to think bigger. And so that was one of the, like, in summer, that was like one of the things that like really like, it was a good trigger and keeping me in school and say, oh, okay, wait, he's, programming us to think bigger and giving us a reason to be in school, to, have the autonomy to make six figures and work abroad or work anywhere we want.
That's wonderful. So let me just repeat the question. Have you ever felt encouraged to succeed in your online classes? If so, how did your instructors make you feel that way? If not, what would this encouragement have made a difference?
I would like to go. Oh, was somebody else gonna go? I'm sorry. I think that the teacher, like Miss, how do you say it? Lenoir?
You got it.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna use her for example. So I turned in something that particularly wasn't all of my work. And normally a professor would just be like, 0, you're done. Next assignment. But she gave me the opportunity. I explained the situation and she gave me an opportunity to redo it. And I'm very thankful, which is why I participated in this Black Student Union thing for her, because I was really grateful. And yeah. And what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, how did your instructors make you feel that way? And if not, if they didn't make you feel that way, with this encouragement, would have it made a difference for you?
Like I said, she made me feel really good about being able to redo the work and turn it in, and her communication is very on point. So I'm grateful for that, and I think it made a difference because other professors would have just been like a 0, and I can't afford a 0 right now.
Caleb?
So what I wanted to say was, in one of my classes that I'm currently taking, one thing that the teacher does is she records like a video of herself doing some of the problems or explaining the assignment. And it's cool to see her actually sitting there like doing it or whatever. And also too, we have like a chat, or she sets up like a discussion, which is not really a discussion. It's basically like, hey, if you have questions about this assignment or any other assignments, she gives the students opportunity to get extra credit by answering those questions of the other students. So if you go to this discussion post, students like, hey, I don't know how to do this, or whatever the question is, we whoever goes to answer it gets extra credit or whatever. So I feel like that helps out a lot, and it motivates a lot of students to, get their assignments done. And then sometimes too, depending on an assignment, she might give us like a day or two extra to turn in assignment, still for full credit.
Kinye?
I was gonna say that I didn't really feel encouraged, and I'm thinking because he didn't really review with us. Like, I'm a hands-on learner, so I need like a little more review. I need like for you to check in and make sure that I understand before you just move on to the next thing. So that's really, he gave us like 10 assignments at once, and then every day we just move on without really checking in to see if I caught up with what was done yesterday.
So I'm hearing a lot of great ideas of best practices. Something that Caleb said is kind of like establishing like a partnership, right? Where students feel invested in helping each other, you know, through the process with that activity of like answering each other's questions and getting credit for that, because it's labor, right? It's time and it's labor, and it's kind of building that community in the classroom. And also, as Rihanna talked about, grace, right? Like making sure that we, I know as an instructor, I need grace all the time. I might be forgetting things, you know, but, you know, just remembering that grace goes a long way, that our students have competing priorities, and that it can make a world of difference, you know, if you just kind of, you know, offer an extension on that assignment, or, you know, approve that rewrite. Like it can make a huge impact for student success. And from what I'm hearing about Kinye is like that constant feedback and check-in is just so valuable and important. And I think that as we're moving to, at West LA has always been very online, but I think that that's something that the research and a lot of this teaching pedagogy is like constantly reminding us, right? That the communication, the constant feedback, the tapping in, the checking in is invaluable when it comes to online learning. So thank you all for sharing. Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. Like, I think that as students, looking at us from like a teacher's point of view, I know it might seem like sometimes we kind of just here to try to get the passing grade like as easy as possible. But like, I think a lot of us are like looking for like you said, like that interaction, that sense of community, that togetherness. And I know that's a really hard thing to develop online. You're looking at a screen, you're just looking at words. Like, I know that's like a really difficult thing to do. And like I was talking to like a couple of my friends about this, like some graduated, some kind of like reached a limit and then kind of just transitioned into like something else, like outside of school. And it's like one of the homies said it the best. Like he was like, it's like the difference between like working at a tire shop and like owning the tire shop. You know, like we understand that like teachers don't necessarily like gain a like a, it's like you guys don't have any like stock in on like how the school performs. Like there's kind of like these guidelines of how y'all have to, like what the teaching is, like what the curriculum is, and then like what is expected. And then pretty much what's expected isn't necessarily like demanded of you guys. And as a student, especially like specifically me, as like a student with like a learning disability, like sometimes we just need to hear things like 2, 3, 4 times. And with, again, like your own lives, y'all have your own things to do. Just being able to like, again, like create that community, like it permeates through the classroom. Cause like what happens then is like other students like find different ways to like commune on their own time to help each other with the work, which like I recently been a part of, and I didn't understand it. Like the teacher knows exactly what they're teaching us, and for some reason it just wasn't cutting through. And just having that opportunity because of the environment that the teacher created, like that extra amount of time, like helped me understand that. So like understanding that like teaching is like a thankless job, like understanding that teachers have their own lives, like understanding all these things, like especially like when you're in a online class, like just that extra push, just that extra like encourage, like, you know, like just like in terms of a collective, like we're all in this together. It's not like I'm the teacher, y'all the students, y'all learn what I tell y'all to do, and then y'all regurgitate it. It's like, yo, we're all in this together. And I can only teach you as far as my curriculum and my life will allow me to, but there's so many different ways that you guys can come together and retain this knowledge and share these things and get better at what we're doing. it just makes the experience like that much better. So that was.
All right, I'm gonna say something. I just want to piggyback off of what he was saying. Maybe some faculty who may struggle with that can touch base with Tashin. He runs math 227. He's with statistics. But one good thing that he does is he will dedicate his weekend as long as you schedule it with him. I think because stats isn't, I'm in stats right now and it's not that easy. But I've noticed with the teachers that I've had, they've provided a lot of resources. For instance, Professor Felicia that does Chicano, she's been very good at replying the same day. Catherine Baltry, the same day as well. And so, you know, for faculty that may struggle with dedicating attention to other students who need extra help, you can probably take notes from them. And like I said, from Tashin, who has, because I was surprised he actually agreed to dedicate a couple of hours out of his weekend to teaching math. And he also offers other office hours outside of his office hours through campus.
Thank you guys so much for sharing. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next question because I want to make sure we get to hear your response to all of these questions. So question 3 is, this is the part where let's have it. What hasn't worked well for you in an online class? Have you ever felt like your race was a factor in those experiences?
I don't feel.
Oh.
Go.
Okay. Well, what's worked for me in my online classes, like I said, is going to class each and every day and doing my work. It's helped me to, install the same thing with my online class. We don't have, any interaction with the teacher, but professors like Ortiz, she's helped me with so much. I've had a couple of late papers, but she's accepted it. And I have another class where I have one assignment missing, and my grade dropped from 100% to 65%. So I'm working on that right now, And professors like Professor Ortiz, I really appreciate her, help, and she helps each and every student in class, and that's helped me to apply that to my online classes because I'm doing good in that class. It's art appreciation. It's not too much on African American experience to say quote unquote, but it's dealing with a lot of the other things. And I would like to have a class, that deals with African American subjects and stuff like that. Our class does. We just did an assignment called Post-Racial America, where I learned some things about that in our English class. That's it.
So let me just repeat the question. What hasn't worked well for you in your online classes? Have you ever felt like your race was a factor in those experiences?
I haven't felt like my race has been a factor in any negative experience because of the screen. When I first started college, I had an incident in 2013 with a Black teacher. And I had another incident with another Black teacher. But I think because of the screen, and this is kind of sad to say, but it allows me to have a fair advantage because I don't have the potential of being discriminated against. So that because of the screen, I haven't had any experiences like that. Fortunately, but unfortunately.
I agree with Mr. Dunn said. I haven't really had any negative experiences online, but in the classes, yes. I don't remember. I want to say the year was maybe 2018. I was a new mom, and there's actually 2 professors in here. I think it's Miss Bell and Mr. Kumo. I have twins, if I haven't already said that. And give me 1 second, I'm talking. I didn't have childcare or something, and I had to switch off with my mother and bring one kid to school and bring the other one the next day. And they were very accommodating. And I think in school, you know, you don't really have that discrimination or whatever, but online it does give you a fair chance and people don't judge you because of your situation.
So I'm just kind of leaving room in case anybody else wants to jump in, but I also want to welcome if something pops up for you and you want to revisit something, you know, please let us know. And then Tiffany is going to take the last three.
Oh, I kind of forgot. I was so into what y'all are giving us, which is very powerful, really insightful information. Thank you for your contributions so far. So the next question is, do you feel seen and represented as a Black student in your online classes? And if you do, tell us a little bit about, you know, how your faculty is able to accomplish that. And if you don't, you know, why do you feel like you don't see yourself seen and represented?
I don't know if anybody want to. Well,
Go ahead.
I'll start off. I think, like a more like recent experience. Right now, I'm in a coding program, and it's Zoom. I mean, you know, obviously it's over Zoom. You know, cameras on and stuff, and I'm the only Black person in the class. So when you say, like, do you feel like seen, just that first half of the part of the question, like, yeah, like in the literal sense, I see seen, like I'm the only Black person in the class. And considering how you process that information, it can feel oftentimes like, I hate to sound like this, but like kind of feel like you're being watched a little bit. That might not even be the case. Like, totally understand. Like, there are like how many ever amount of people like in the classroom, and they could be like totally focused on the work or what another student is saying. But I think it's hard to ignore the fact that a lot of times Black students are the lesser of the lesser population in the class, and that can kind of create a kind of like I won't say like a weird vibe, but I think like for the Black student, like it can kind of create this feeling like you have to be like on point. You got to be right all the time. You got to be on time all the time. And that's a heavy burden before we even get to like learning what we're even learning on. So like that's like that part. And then to the part of like feeling represented, I feel like that has a lot to do with the curriculum. I was glad to hear that a lot of the other students had instances where the curriculum was based around Black writers or Black civil rights, movement leaders, around Black, politicians or like Black, whatever. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think to come into a space that usually, for your first 12 years of school, outside of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, that you get to see a Black person highlighted for an achievement or for being a pioneer of something. I think that says a lot, consciously and subconsciously, to Black people. Like we spend, our first 3-4 years of elementary school drawing turkeys and knowing the names of the ships of Christopher Columbus. And then it took us 20 years to kind of denounce Christopher Columbus Day. which used to be a day where the banks were closed, if I'm not mistaken, and schools were closed. So I think I think it can be a bit of a culture shock going two ways, to where, again, like you're in a position where you feel like you're in the spotlight, that you on front stage, bright lights, and then at the same time, have a teacher, especially when they don't look like you, take the time to roll out an elaborate like work lesson plan surrounded by all of these, amazing like Black artists that aren't necessarily highlighted on like on a high enough level to where they get a day named after them, or they get like a street named after them or something like that. So
to piggyback what you were just saying, I think we may have figured out, well, I think I figured out maybe a small percentage of why we have a Tiffany, what is it? Equity
gap.
Equity gap. So his experience is he is one Black student out of, let's say, 10 non-Black students. His environment, he probably does not see other people that look like him reaching success. And so in a way, he probably feels isolated. When we feel isolated, we can become discouraged. And that may be the reason why our grades, we have a equity gap. Yes, and so I was writing notes, but I think I covered for that. I think that may be one reason why some people feel that way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As far as like feeling discouraged, because the one class that I have, it's like 2 Black kids and it's Spanish. So that's automatically like discouraging. So like I'm automatically feeling like just a little bit shy to, even if I might know the answer, I'm like, don't want to pronounce it wrong, or just like not feeling as comfortable with the other kids around me, because it's like I don't want to mess up, or I don't want to look bad, or I don't want to make, it's only 2 of us. So it's like, so
a level of comfort isn't there.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. But at the same time, it's kind of on us because a lot of us are not in these spaces. So there's some community work.
Step up. I agree.
Yeah. Can we repeat the question if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Do you feel seen and represented as a Black student in your online classes?
Okay.
And if you could explain a little bit why or why not. Does anybody else want to add to that? Yeah.
Yeah. Do I feel represented and seen as a Black student on my online classes? I would say no. I feel as if I'm a regular student. I don't really see no difference because they're not depicting, anything racial to me. I have art appreciation. It's just about the history of art and appreciating it. So do I feel like I'm being seen and represented? Yes and no, I would say.
All right.
I do appreciate.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate teachers that have content that shed light on Black history, and like even in your class, Tiffany, you have provided a book where everybody can learn about everybody, and there is a chapter that is about Black people, so non-Black people can learn about Black people, and like me, Black people can learn about non-Black people. So that I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for that. Let's go on to the next one. And some of you kind of touched on this, but let's hear from more folks about this. So Black students at West LA College have lower rates of success in online courses than other racial groups at West LA College. Can you think of any reasons for this?
It could be the population and the amount of us. Maybe we are still the minority, like I said, in these environments where people are reaching success. And a lot of times, I think we covered this in Chicano, but we as humans, we all have a need and a sense of an identity. And when we don't see people that look like us reaching success, or people that look like us and that we can share common ground with in these spaces, like I said before, we can feel isolated. And what is important, this is kind of off topic, but it goes into why I chose to attend CSU Long Beach, because there is a program dedicated to aid Black males in college. And so here we have it, we have that support group. And maybe this is just a suggestion that EOPS can sit down, even with Latinx and Black students, and come up with what are your goals, 2-year goals, what fields do you want to enter? Because when any human doesn't have any direction, like as we have this issue where grades fall. And so if we have programs in the school, I'll say EOPS, because they do a very good job in keeping in touch with their students, maybe they can outline, okay, who are our Black students, who are our Latinx, who are our other students, what are their goals, why are they in college? Because the why has a lot to do with if they're going to aspire for an A or just the pass or eventually drop out. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. What about for other folks? So the statistics show us that Black students have lower rates of success in online courses than other racial groups at West LA College. Can you think of any reasons for this?
I think maybe it could be like home life. Like, I'm gonna just use myself for example. When I first started, I love the flexibility, but sometimes I will forget that I have assignments due, or for the most part, I would forget that I have assignments due, or life would take over and I would just forget about school completely. And I would have to redo everything, the next semester. Because by the time I remembered, it's halfway through the semester and there's no coming back from that. But I'm doing good this semester, so I have high hopes.
All right, can we hear thoughts from some other students? Why do you think we see this equity gap with Black students or online class? Yeah, Caleb.
So I would say, I'm not in every online class, so I don't know how they're being ran. But just the way you're engaging with the student. I know from just talking with a lot of different students. For me personally, I'm 30. I'm a Navy veteran. So talking to, being in college is kind of not weird, but most of the kids are way younger than me. But just having conversations with them, a lot of them learn differently. Maybe they're visual learners, they're hands-on learners. So when they take an online course, and say, prime example, if they take a course and yes, the teacher might have recorded a video, but the video is bad quality or it's distorted or whatever the case may be, they automatically zone out and be like, I'm not doing this. I don't know, maybe, creating a game. I don't know, what exactly you could do, but it's one of those things where I see with a lot of the Black students, the way they learn is differently. Maybe they need something that holds their attention a little bit more. Maybe they need something that is adding the aspect of like a current event or something that they can understand or relate to, if you get what I'm saying.
So to piggyback, I don't want to cut you off, but to piggyback on, I'm gonna just take it back. Indigenous people, the learning, how we learn is different from Eurocentric learning. And so that's an even deeper discussion that maybe we would have to get to later, but it is known that those Eurocentric culture, they have a different learning style, but unfortunately, we are in a country to where that learning style is dominant, and so we have to get creative. And that next conversation is how do we get creative, but just to shed light, and maybe that may help some of your answer your question.
Awesome. Would anybody else like to contribute their thoughts on why Black students at West LA College have lower success rates than other groups? No? All right, let's move on to the next one. So how can faculty support you? Think about it from, a micro level perspective and other Black students in online learning. So how can faculty support you and other Black students in online learning?
Hey, Tiffany, I want to hold that question. From the last question, is that because, so I'm thinking about that, is that
We're going to hold questions to the Q&A at the end, if you don't mind. So we can just hear from the students for now.
You were asking the students for that
I'm
question.
asking the students, Rashawn. Okay, so again, how can faculty support you and other Black students in online learning?
Like I said previously, more review, I believe, checking in with the students, more maybe smaller groups, tutoring. It's a lot of things that I believe can help. This is a start.
All right, what about for other students?
I would say just more knowledge, more awareness of black what would you say how would you say more awareness to Black individuals about the things that we can do for like a Black ASO, something like that. So it can involve the students more so we can learn more about our history and stuff.
I also maybe so here's a tricky thing is I don't know how the school is able to tell who is Black. But one good thing that maybe there can be when a Black student signs up to come to West LA, they can receive an outline of grants, scholarships, opportunities, tutoring, aids, just all of these sources that are dedicated to Black students or people of color. I think that would help. But again, it's also on us to ask those questions and to seek all of the financial resources and tutoring help that we can. But I do think that if I signed up with West LA like I did in summer and I received, you marked that you are of African American descent, here are resources for you to use. I think that would be great.
What about other folks? How can faculty support you and other Black students in online learning?
Oh man, I feel like this question is so much. I mean, I understand why it's layered like this, but I think like the answer is just so much more. Like it's so layered. It's like it's okay. There are Black people in here. When I say that, even though everybody in here all speaks English, that Black people just kind of have their own language. There's a certain amount of, obviously, like visually, but like a familiarity that you have when you communicate with other Black people. And granted, I know that I could just be like, yeah, we just need more Black tutors. We need more, Black faculty, like all these things like that. But I feel like it's so much more than that. I feel like a lot of these things that the district and like the individual schools themselves are attempting to correct with the success of Black students starts even before we get into the classroom. Now, how can you affect that when you're in the classroom? It's kind of hard to say. But I think that it's just really hard to say. It's almost like this like esoteric sense you have to have in terms of like knowing that you contribute to the success of Black students, for the teachers that can actually like see who their students actually are, and just kind of have that openness to even like learn how to communicate with Black students. I'm trying to explain this the best way I can because it's such a textured conversation. It's not just easy as 1 + 2 = 3. So I think that like realistically, it's like a collective movement that like it's an issue bigger than the faculty, but I think that within the faculty, some camaraderie can be created to like get Black students to reach out for more help. Obviously, like having these things in place, almost all campuses have them, but sometimes just saying, "Oh, we got it," like sometimes that's just not enough. Sometimes that's just not enough. And that like the consistent encouragement, the consistent like kind of like I don't want to say hurting because that's too close to whatever anyway. But like just the continuous of it, like it's a never ending cycle of attempting to like recognize a problem and being willing to like put what you have available into like the progression of it. So
Yes, thank you for that. Anybody else with this question? How can faculty support you and other Black students? We're good? All right, so we are just about to wrap up this portion of our event tonight, but I do want to ask if there's anything else that any of the students would like to add, contribute. Is there something you thought of from a question earlier, or just this whole discussion, just thoughts or feelings that you want to share with the faculty, with the staff that are here? Is there anything that you want to share before we open it up to Q&A?
I do. I've noticed that I get a better response from teachers when I don't have a profile picture on my my Canvas. Now, I'm not saying that they're judging me based off the picture, but I've noticed that the responses are more, I don't want to say appropriate because they're never not appropriate, but like you can tell the difference in the wording rather than when I do have a profile picture up, it's just like, wow. And I don't be needing that.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. Other folks, anybody else want to add any other thoughts, comments, feelings? We're good. Okay, so we are going to now transition to the Q&A portion. Oh yeah, go ahead, Christopher.
I just want to know, just like, I don't know how we can like collect this, but just I just want to know how many like percentage of the faculty in here, like if they are teachers of online classes, how many of them can actually see their students? Like, like, are there any situations where it's like almost like a lab situation where they like the classes or no?
I do know that the majority of our online classes are asynchronous, meaning it's not the ones that are live with the Zooms. I know that makes up the majority of the online classes that we offer at West LA. I teach a lot of online classes, so I can speak for myself that like in Canvas, I do find that I would say maybe only around 30% of the students in my classes add their profile picture in Canvas. So the majority of the students don't, and so I can't see them. But you know, students come for, you know, office hours and things like that. But that's my experience. The majority of my online students, I don't see their faces.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we are going to transition to the Q&A portion. So if folks have questions that they'd like to ask, you can raise your electric hand, or you can post it in the chat, which I'm opening now. And Leslie is going to kind of monitor the chat for us and let us know what's happening there. And yeah, if you want to unmute, you want to, you know, verbally ask your question, you can do that as well. Just raise your electric hand and we'll get to you. I do want to ask Rasan, I know you had something earlier. Do you want to get us started?
Tiffany, I'm sorry, I missed the maybe like last 20 seconds.
We're opening it up for the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Faculty are gonna
Q&A.
start, yeah, faculty are going to raise their hand and they're going to start asking the panel
Okay.
questions.
Yeah. So Rasan, did you want to start us off or?
No, yeah, I was just gonna, and thank you. And this is awesome, this forum and this platform for the students to be able to, like, you know, to give us that feedback, especially of those of us that do online classes. And you know what, I have a dual experience with all the teachers, with the students that are of color, and from being from you know, a person of color that teaches, right? So I have a dual experience with you in class, right? So you know, so it's good to hear the feedback that you're giving us. My question was about, you know, as far as you know, Black students, or let's be specific, more like Black males, or just say Black students, how they're be rated, or how do they know that their academic success? Are they being compared against each other, or are they rated against, you know, like, are they rated against, you know, like say, are Black males rate, because being specific, rated against Black males for academic success, or are they being rated or compared to other, you know, Asian, Hispanic, white, like that?
Yeah, when we're talking about the equity gaps, what we're looking at are the success rates, and the way we define success rate is like the successful completion of a class. So a student passing a class. So we're looking at the success rates of Black students for online classes and comparing that with other racial ethnic groups. And we do see significant gaps in the success rates of Black students compared to other racial groups. So that's what we're looking at. That's what the grant's addressing. And that's what you're going to help us with, because you're one of our faculty success coaches.
Yeah, and I'm also an alum of the community college system. So I like I say, I can understand. And I like what the young man said about the community, because I think that's that interaction with especially with Black males is very important. The community, making that community. I mean, I don't have to be sort of specific toward you know, saying, oh, this, you know, these are African American history or things like that. However, building that community. Hey, how are you doing today? what's going on, and then also when you do get that chance, hey, I have a couple kids, I can't, show up with this assignment. Okay, tell me more about that, and what can make you, what I can do to make you more successful in this class. That's building the community, and that's just a little bit more words than what others say. Now, I had the opportunity of having instructors that told me, I'm not going to let you fail. Right? They told me, I'm lying. One instructor told me, and he told me that, man, I'd never missed a class. He said he wasn't going to let me fail. And so that I just passed that around to all my other instructors, and figured that they wouldn't let me fail either. But he built that community with me is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you for that. All right, Darren, I see your hand up. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Students, thank you so much for your time and your responses. I really appreciate it. I know it's not easy because you have to collect yourself and collect your thoughts to answer questions. It's almost putting you on the spot. But I want you to know that it's very valuable to us, and it helps us to better set up our classes for your success. My question is, I teach finance, investments, and so it's kind of like a math class. There's a lot of math in it. And I find that my students sometimes struggle with learning some of the concepts. And I've heard, I'm not sure which one of you mentioned about instructors that give more time during office hours or on the weekends to support the curriculum in the classroom. And so I've actually offered, Saturdays, 2 or 3 hours on Saturdays to go over assignments, especially when I know it's a difficult week in terms of the math. I post videos on the site, but what I found is that a lot of the students, a good majority of the students don't take advantage of it. And so my question is there anything more that I can do to try and increase that participation in your mind?
I think that you can, let's say this. When I first entered the business class with Professor Demeanor Domineur, his first initial project assignment was that, which salary would you take? So that, like I said, that programmed my mind to think bigger. So maybe what assignment can you come up with to where the student can incorporate your curriculum into their everyday life?
Right.
Because I invest in stock, and so I would already be in tune with what they're teaching, but a lot of people, some people don't. And so when Domineer made that question so personal, and it made me think like, whoa, I'm already thinking bigger. Only thing I can recommend is what assignment could you come up with to where it would involve the students' everyday life, and how could it make them think bigger?
All right.
Because I say that because it helped me a lot. That question that day changed my whole perspective why I was in college.
Okay. Appreciate it, Elijah.
Caleb and Chris had something to add, right?
Yes, all I was gonna say was, and to kind of piggyback off of what Eliza just said, is to make the assignment more personal, to something maybe they can relate to. But other than that, it's only so much you can do. So I mean, you can't force anybody to do something that they don't want to do.
All right.
I think I feel like I said it earlier in the answer. I maybe not. I may not have. But I think as always, you got to use your resources. And I think a lot of the times, teachers don't look at their students as resources. And what I mean by that is sometimes students communicate with each other better than teachers can communicate with students. I don't know how many times I've either learned how to do something from another student, or I taught another student, student mate, classmate of mine how to do it. And it's not necessarily like that y'all are that, excuse me, that the teachers are teaching it the wrong way. Like I said, I know it sounds like mystical, but like sometimes like just different cultures just have different ways of communicating with each other. You can literally say the same sentence or feel like you're saying the same sentence, but it's just not the same. So like that's why I kept like I just kept saying like build community, build that togetherness, make everybody feel like they're in it together. Like if you make passing the class feel like it's a final project and everybody's grade is dependent on that, then I think that nobody will look around because it's only one. There's only one of you. There's only one of you. Some people are gonna understand that. Some some students won't. But like, take advantage of that. Like, if you see, like, if you can pick up on it, obviously, like this is all about like awareness and all the things that encompass that. Like, use the students as a resource. Like, I was a chatty kid in school. I was a chatty kid, but I was good at math. And if it's one thing that my teacher knew that I was going to do was talk during class, it was like semester after semester, ASU in math class. If there's one thing I knew numbers. ASU talks too much. ASU talks too much. So I just had a teacher that was just like, if you're gonna talk about the work. And then like I went out of my way to try to find the people that didn't fully understand what was going on. And I feel like he used that to his advantage, my chattiness to his advantage. So like, I feel like if you can make the class feel like they're in it together, then I feel like everybody will at least attempt in some type of way to like help pull the weight. So.
Thank you.
I think Marcia had her hand up for a minute.
Good evening, and thank you so much for doing this. I really needed some kind of input. I've been teaching online since 2016, and I teach teenagers, high school students. They're not allowed or don't have to show their faces. I ask them to put pictures up that relate to them. They do pets and emojis and different things. I found that maybe a survey in the beginning of my class on how do you learn? What's your favorite music? What kind of food do you like? Gives me insight as to what kind of a culture I'm dealing with, because I can't see their faces. It's really difficult. And I'm finding that with all my classes. I'm in healthcare, and I want to see more Black students in my classes. I'm seeing a lot of white kids. I'm seeing, different cultures, but very few Black students. And I want to know how we can gather them up. And do you think a survey, I would like to know that. Do you think a survey is legitimate to ask questions that I think maybe might give me some kind of notice?
So I would say say yes. And the only reason I say that is because in a few of my online classes that I have taken, some at West LA, some at other schools in the district, they have us do discussions, or like they'll ask us a question, and it ask us like, tell me about yourself, and in there also you have to put a picture in there, you doing something, or you listen to some type of music or whatever the case may be. And then also too, they will require the other students to reply to that post, to kind of get everybody to engage. But with that being said, I think, with that being done, I think the teacher also learns more about the students and see how they interact and how they, do all that.
Bill?
You're muted, Bill.
Sorry about that. I really appreciate this forum. I think it's a great way to share information. I could say space where you guys can and truly reveal what you're thinking. I'm coming from the corporate world. I've been at West for several years. I'm going to move from an adjunct to a full-time, and I want to bring my corporate experience in to West. And I want to teach all ethnicities and colors of race, but I really want to bring or make it a safe space for what you guys are sharing in my classroom. I think somebody said it earlier. They said something about analogies, real world analogies. So I teach IT. I'm in the computer science department, and I try to bring real world analogies through the world of IT. So I try to let people know what technology they're using in their everyday life, their phone, Netflix, whatever it may be. And I want to continue to do that. But so I'm learning from you. I'm happy to be here. And if there's anything I can do, just please reach out and let me know. Thanks.
You know, I just want to like just throw another tidbit out there, like as much as possible, like whenever you get the opportunity to, like just like humanize yourself. You know, like I know more specifically, like we're speaking on like in a online class environment. So like kind of like outside of like the introduction, it's kind of like, okay, like let's get into these lessons and stuff like that. But just like like as much as you can, just try to humanize yourself. Just try to make students feel like they can rely on you.
I know
A
that
lot of times, like
I know
like students. Go ahead. No, go.
I know that I'm kind of cutting the line, but I think faculty would probably appreciate like an example, like a specific example that you've seen, how you've seen professors humanize themselves, that you feel like has really worked for you.
Sheesh. An exact moment.
I don't know if it's saying like maybe the teacher can put themselves in our shoes, maybe like come see from where we're coming from in our walks of life, and you know, everyone, a lot of Black people, we come from, you know, different walks of life. It wasn't as easy. It's not as easy. So if they could just like, you know, sympathize and put themselves in our shoes and understand and stuff like that, maybe.
So I want to piggyback off of the faculty member. You said you worked in corporate. He was a previous faculty we just covered. When he said he worked in corporate, when I started this summer and I got back into my company, I said I was going corporate. This is an example of how we can sort of decrease this equity gap. How he's been in corporate, if there was a email or let's say a faculty said they wanted to bring students, because I want to say Black students, but I want to include everybody too, students together as some form of mentorship program for us and other students, because a month ago when I said I'm gonna go taking my business corporate, if I had known that this, you know, Black male faculty member has worked in corporate and maybe West LA highlighted him and saying this gentleman knows corporate, he teaches this class, he offers these office hours. Maybe you don't have to be in his class to have office hours, but to just ask questions. If I had seen an email like that, I would have reached out to him instantly. And there we have uh, a sense of community to where I, as a Black man, can communicate with another Black man that has worked in corporate. And corporate is not dominated by us. And so just an example of something specific, if that was the case, if there was an email that was, sent out of highlighting him, I think that would be a way to decrease the equity gap by highlighting Black teachers, offering some sort of office hours to all students. Do you follow me? I'm sorry.
I do. I think what you're, I mean, that's a very good idea. Maybe we can leverage this forum to provide some sort of directory of background experience that we could circulate amongst the community. I'd certainly be willing to. I have mentored people in the past. I've done that on the corporate side, and I'm looking to do more of that as I move to a full-time position at West. So
yeah. And I don't think that it has to be so specific. I think that maybe if we can include how I'm in econ and I'm in math, but I'm in, Tiffany's class, like I said, had I known that you are a resource on campus, even though I'm not in your class, maybe I can book 20 minutes, or maybe other Black students and other races can book 20 minutes who want to go on corporate, because I've never worked in corporate, but it's, I said a month ago, I'm going corporate.
Right. Oh, good idea. I definitely agree with you. And I think that's something we can do.
Chris, sorry, Chris, you were about to say something about an example of what that welcoming can look like.
In terms of like an online class,
like a
where
practice?
maybe, maybe it's just like this is just me just throwing an idea out there. Like maybe like you have like, bi-weekly like check-ins where, like you have like something is kind of like given to the student that really has nothing to do with the curriculum, but has everything to do with making them feel like that it's not just about them passing the class, that this is a space of, yes, like we're learning 100%, like we're learning. The goal is to pass this class, but what we're also going to do is we're going to see everybody, we're going to respect everybody, and we're going to just collectively like share this space and pour nothing but love and good energy into it. So so just making your students, just familiarize yourself with your students as much as possible, I would say. Like as much as you can, even if it's like a 2 point, 3 point, 4 point extra credit. I know at the end of the day, it's like making sure like, okay, does Y equals MX plus B? Okay, yes. Like, do you know the MLA format? Like, do you understand, like the periodic table and all these things? Like, yes, that is the key. But I think that if, a 79 to an 81 off of the fact that the student is coming, back and, and trying to create a relationship between you, it goes a long way, because they don't feel left out. They don't feel left behind, even if, the grade might get a little low, but they don't feel like, okay, I'm not, forsaken, I'm not shunned to hell. Like I still have a way out. There's still this ray of sunshine that if I just embrace it, if I just step outside and let the sun hit me, that, that I can, gain my momentum back. So
it's almost like the kind of making a very authentic connection with Black students doesn't necessarily look like one way or another. It just has to be thoughtful and considerate and genuine. Okay. So it's not like just one thing. It's like it depends on how you show up authentically and communicating that with Black students.
Right, exactly. Okay. Like we don't gotta, to talk about the James Brown documentary. Like we can just be like, hey, like, is everybody okay? And someone was like, I got cheated on. And like, yeah, I've gotten cheated on too. It sucks. It sucks. And I know this has nothing to do with, knowing how to use cosign, but at the same time, like, you're seen.
Yes.
And, and it's feeling that much more confident in the communication between your teachers. So, that one less unit that you might feel lost, you might be like, okay, well, let me double back to the teacher, or at least let me give more time to, like, to communicating with my other students. Because, like, you want them to understand it. And, as long as they get it, like, that's what you care about the most.
Yeah.
So
I just had one question. I know this is slightly off topic, but I wanted to ask: is Chris your name, the guy that was just talking?
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever been to the BSU office in the Fine Arts Building on the, I guess, the west side of campus, or the side by the parking structure? Have you ever?
I'm not on campus. I'm not on campus. I'm not on that campus,
Okay,
more specifically, but
strictly online.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you ever come to campus, look for or ask about the BSU. Ask for Dr. Marilyn. She has an office where I am a part of the BSU group, and it's for Black students. And we have it's a meeting space. We talk about various different topics. Also, too, if you need help with classes, or you having issues with a teacher, or whatever the case may be, it's basically a support system to help you out, to figure out like how we can help you, whatever the case may be. And also too, Mr. Rice helps out with as far as like if you have any issues with your scheduling or in your classes or stuff like that. So, and that's not just for him, that's for any of the students that's on here. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much for sharing that resource. I think one thing that I'm hearing, or that we've been hearing a lot, that we need to do a better job, as faculty, communicating and liaisoning and making the connection for students with the resources that we do have available. Because I know that West does offer a lot of things, and I think that, really liaisoning versus being like, oh, it's over there, being like, no, you need to talk to this professor, you need to talk to this counselor, and making those connections can like really make a difference. And I didn't want to kind of glaze past what King said, but one of the things that she mentioned was the importance of empathy, and like understanding the value of kind of walking in somebody's shoes. And, I think that in some ways, even sharing stories of what it was like for you to go to college, right? Remembering what that felt like, how we just got out of midterm. So remember how that felt like, stressed out, so empathy just really, from what we're hearing from our panel, goes a long way. I see Alice and Edna.
Thanks to everybody for this great panel. I'm really appreciative, particularly of the students who are obviously so busy. Dominique and I have similar questions. His is in the chat. What do the students think? What do you guys think of the balance between having due dates and letting you be totally flexible? What do you think of a student trying to do the whole class in the last 2 weeks? I found it doesn't help very much. So my system is to have really strong deadlines for tiny little assignments, not essays, really strong deadlines at the beginning of the class, and then let students continue the class on their own pace. But what has worked for you guys or not worked in terms of enforcing due dates or not?
Me personally, I need a due date because I have 2 kids and life be life. And so if I don't have something in the back of my head saying, okay, get this paper done by this day, then I won't do it. I'll lollygag it. So due dates are important because it keeps like something on your schedule that you have something to do.
I'm not going to say.
I don't think that due dates are I don't think that they're a negative thing. I think leniency to a due date is obviously a grace that teachers give students. You don't know what's going on in their lives and stuff like that. So I know they both go hand in hand, and balances everything. But yeah, I'm not against having due dates. And yeah.
I like the due dates because I'm kind of like Kenya. If I don't have a due date, I'm pretty much gonna procrastinate. Due dates have me more focused on that assignment and what to do. So I like the due dates. I don't see them as a negative thing either.
Caleb? Caleb? Oh, is that Rihanna?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think that due dates hold us accountable. Like, life can get to you and life can goes on, but at the end of the day, you do have something that's due and you need to get it in, rather than not having a due date where you be like, okay, well, I don't have a due date, I'll just put it off to a later date. And then that's where you get the I don't want to say the crash of assignments, but you're trying to cram everything in at one time so you can, get it done. I hope that was the question. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. Caleb, were you going to jump in?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like not having a due date is just prolonging the inevitable. So having a due date, I mean, yes, to a certain extent, as teachers, we do want, certain support, and we want you to not necessarily accommodate us, but bring a little life to the assignments. But at the same time, too, this is still life. When you get in the real world, whether it's corporate America, whether it's the military, whatever the case may be, you got choices and trade-offs. So, if you say you want to go to college or whatever the case may be, and you don't want to turn an assignment by a certain time, maybe school isn't for you. And I don't want to be so harsh, but as students, we have to be able to meet you halfway too. We just can't be saying, well, we need the teacher or the staff to do this, that, this, and that. And, you're jumping through hoops to accommodate us, and then we're not even doing our part.
Thank you, Caleb. We have one last question from one of our deans, Edna, and then I think that'll be the last question we can take for the night. But if we run out of time, Tiffany and I want to thank our student panel. You all are incredible, and we are very lucky that you were here and that you agreed to do this for us. So thank you so much. And then I'll let Tiffany, is there anything you want to say?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think this was just so powerful. I'm so appreciative, and there's so much love being given to you all in the chat. Folks are talking about how powerful hearing directly from the students it has been, and appreciating the time that you've taken out to do this, to talk about sometimes sensitive topics. So just, so appreciative of your time and your energy.
If you guys can give us 2 more minutes, one of our deans has the last question. And Edna, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the last question and for your insight and openness with the experience that you've had here at West. I'm not a faculty member, so I support through some of the offices like DSPS and basic needs. And I'm kind of curious because you were talking about community. I hear a lot about like respect for you and openness and listening to you, and also us being kind to you, right? And seeing you as full humans, not just as students. So I'm wondering about your experiences with the offices at West, right? Like, what can we do to best serve you, specifically because you're primarily online students, but you're also Black students. So what can we do to best serve you?
Is anyone talking? No.
Just you.
Okay, so one thing I want to probably say is we are students and also Black students, but I do want to put an emphasis on that to let's not create a system to where we feel that we need to hold their hands. There is a sense of accountability also, but I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for me. But I will speak for me and say that EOPS has done a lot of reaching out. There's also another program that I'm in. I forgot the name, but it's a lot of a matter of why is the student in college and are they going to take advantage of as much resources as possible? Now, one thing that I did state earlier is that maybe the school can highlight Black faculty that's special. Like, let's say we have Tiffany, we have the finance professor, and we have the IT professor. Maybe we can send out not a press release, but a newsletter highlighting Black faculty and informing students, and Black students will see that you can reach out to these mentors or Black professionals for help. And then we'll have a sense of community to where, like the gentleman that is in a class where he's the only Black student, he'll no longer feel alienated because he can go to someone who has gone through the ranks and works in corporate or as a Black professional and get the advice and just the mental aid that a student needs sometimes. And so I want to steer away from how can we help Black students, but let's not see Black students as as this group of people that is struggling, that needs help, because it kind of perpetuates a certain idea, and not to say that you are, but I want to point that out and just acknowledge that maybe we can send out a newsletter. Is that something that we can do, like a newsletter?
We can do anything.
Okay. I think that would be great because I mean, had I known about the guy that has been in corporate,
right?
And then when we do that, it's on the students to reach out, and if we still have this gap, then something's wrong. We got to work on that.
We've where it's 8:01 and I want to respect everybody's time, including our panel's time. Again, thank you everyone for participating. We have our 12 faculty coaches that are on board, and we're about to start doing the work to remove the barriers that are in place that are preventing our Black students from being successful in college. So this was our kickoff event, and I hope that everybody had a great time and learned from our panelists. And again, I want to thank the students for your time and for opening up to us and giving us all of your knowledge and wisdom. And we, as faculty and administrators, we have a lot of work to do.
Can I make a comment just really fast? Just
Sure.
1 minute.
Sure.
Just for that last question, I'm gonna try to keep it short as possible. Maybe like 2008. I live in LA. I born and raised in LA. Went to Paseo Del Rey Elementary. Went to Parkville Middle School and Brentwood. Both of those schools are like super, like West Side, super high, like well-to-do neighborhoods. And then I went to like the inner city for high school and college. After that, I always felt the same way I felt. Just the 1, 2, or 2, 3 Black kids in the class. I once went to Atlanta to go visit some family. And when you see a lot of Black people, I saw a lot of Black people and I just felt at home. So I feel like when you see more of yourself, you feel more welcome, you feel more engaged, you feel more in place. So if just do with that as you will. Do with that as you will. Yeah, that's my last piece.
Thank you, Christopher. That's the perfect note for us to end. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, students. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Tiffany and Jennifer. And
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Oh, shout out to Leslie, our technician.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie.
Bye, Bobby.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'm going to stop recording now.
Bye. Oh yeah, stop recording. Oh yeah, because I was about to start talking.